this meeting for a grant award that King County has done for the past couple of years to facilitate a local hazardous waste collection event in the community. And Jim Morgan is the project sponsor here for the city and has been coordinating this over the last couple of years. And this is certainly, from Public Works perspective, a very worthwhile event. It will take a lot of hazardous product out of the waste streams and a lot of potential for pollution away, for the stormwater management system, for the wellhead protection, and some of the things that Jack just covered. So this is one of those good events that does a lot of good for the community, both environmentally as well as individual people who just want to dispose of some of their excess goods. So that's, in a nutshell, what this is, and if there are questions that I haven't explained well, I'm happy to entertain.
It says the meeting date is April 27th, 2017. That would be 2015?
There is a Scribner error.
Okay.
Or maybe just an editor's note that we'll have to correct between now and next meeting. So, yes, thank you. We do need to get the date correct.
Okay. When is the event?
That hasn't been scheduled.
Oh, yes. That's what I was wondering.
And unfortunately, that was one of the questions I thought would come up, but I didn't get a chance to ask Mr. Morgan. But next Monday night, I'll make sure that I have an answer for that question.
And this is the one where we collect paint cans
and appliances, used appliances, and with the hydrocarbons and different things. There's not a full list within the packet, but I can probably make sure that that's included in next Monday night's packet.
Is this, I got a letter in the mail, or a flyer in the mail from Algona. Is this the same program?
It is a combined event.
Oh, combined event. Because theirs had a date and everything.
Rich, do you know on that? I'm sorry, I don't know, council member.
Okay.
We'll look into it.
And that's another question I'll have answered.
Okay. Because if it's not the same program, let's not do it the same weekend. Other questions from council? What's the council's pleasure? And West Valley speed limit. Thanks, you're on a roll.
Okay. The particular item before you tonight was a referral from the Public Works Committee and also from some citizen comments regarding the speed limit change that occurred in 2013 through council action, lowering the speed limit to 25. And it was discussed at Public Works Committee briefly that this was a community impactful event and that the committee wanted to have the full council have an opportunity to discuss it. And some of the notes that are germane to tonight's discussion is that the council action that was undertaken in 2013 would not be in accordance with typical state statute or some of the requirements for that classification of roadway. So as we looked at this, and some of the discussion points for tonight is, as you may recall a few months ago, back in early January, a procedure was developed by the Public Works Department to have a sound method that would stand the test of the state statute in order for the city to look at lowering or increasing the speed limit on all classification of roadway within the city limits. So that policy is attached for your reading pleasure as well. And then the recommendations for consideration tonight, or alternatives to discuss, is one is to change the speed limit without further action back to the original 40 miles per hour, or the second alternative would be to commission a traffic and engineering speed study and then go in and look at the engineering of the roadway to see what the warranted speed limit is for West Valley Highway within the city's jurisdiction. That's a summary, and certainly happy to add to the conversation or discussion tonight.
Questions from council? Councilor Butler?
If you had to guess, just from what you know of the geometry of the road now, what speed would a study most likely come up with?
One quick comment, and then I'll answer your question directly. To give you a little bit of context, the engineering firm that is looking at the design of work that we have, AHBL, working for both the Pierce County and King County segment of West Valley Highway, the design direction and that they're working towards is a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit design. That's what the design will support when it's all said and done. To answer your question, Councilmember, current conditions, I think there will be segments that certainly would warrant a 40-mile-an-hour speed limit, and that there are other segments, particularly the approach coming up to the stop sign at Ellingson and that immediate vicinity thereafter, that just knowing the road geometry, sight lines, some of the traffic patterns, I would expect that we may see something different through that segment until it's been redesigned and reconfigured.
Other questions from council? Councilman Gay?
I guess we're creating a design. What's our plans after the design has been created to start? When do you think the most feasible time for construction to start would be?
I'll see if I can reconstruct the timeline. I've heard it a couple times. Through the current design phase, we're trying to get through a 30% design the remainder of this year and get that completed in order to pursue grant funding in 2016 to acquire right-of-way. And then, as you may recall, the different federal funding cycles for transportation projects, it's on a 2-year cycle. So then the next eligibility wouldn't be until 2018 to go after construction funding. So this year, complete the 30% design to the point where we can pursue funding to acquire right-of-way with the next grant cycle, and potentially complete the design in that grant cycle as well. And then if we're successful doing that, pursue construction funding for 2018 through 2020 federal funding cycle.
Councilmember Young?
The question I have is, do we know what Algona did for their section of West Valley Highway when they lowered their speed limit 25? Did they in fact follow the state procedures like we're talking about right now, relative to the traffic and speed?
I honestly, Councilmember Jones, I can't answer that with any authority. I have not pursued it to see. Anecdotally, I've heard how they proceeded, but I don't know factually how they chose to lower the speed limit.
Okay. Can we reach out to them just out of curiosity?
Sure.
Councilman Young?
So it looks like the options are 1 or 2. You put it back to 40 mile an hour, let people drive like they're driving anyway, because none of them are falling 25 miles an hour. Because basically we're out of compliance with the state. And even if my assumption based on, unless I'm reading it wrong, that even if we did a traffic speed study, we'd still have to change our speed limit to be in compliance until that study was complete. We couldn't.
It's gonna be completed.
Well, but we couldn't, because we're still out of compliance.
I don't believe that.
I'm going to have to ponder that comment a little bit. I'm not sure I have an immediate answer for that, what the benefit to taking action versus you already have a stable condition, if we would make the situation better or worse by taking action to raise it during the speed study and engineering analysis. And again, there may be a component here, the legality of that. I'd want to consult with the city attorney just to make sure that we wouldn't be doing any harm for the city.
Yeah, I'm thinking the fact that we lowered it, we didn't have any accident data to support our lowering it. It was basically done on opinion. And in my opinion, now that we have knowledge of this, if someone gets a speeding ticket on West Valley for 135, and the speed limit should be 40, seems like they could challenge it because we lowered it without following the proper procedures. And that's why I think our best course of action is raise it back up to 40. Maybe put some caution signs in areas where the road is in bad shape. You know, let them know that the road's, like you see in other, like in some parts of the county, if the road is got a bump to it because it's got dips or there's a dip ahead, something like that, if we can put some sort of caution sign that lets them know this is a bad portion of the road, then they can slow down, you know, a couple miles an hour, and then as they start hitting it, they're slowing down a little bit more, and they make it a little safer that way. I think that, to me, if we're looking at rebuilding the road anyway in a few years, would be a better course of action than spending up to $16,000 to do a study that's in areas we already know it's going to be forced to be raised anyway.
Do we know if we, and this might be a question for Carol, if we raise the speed limit to 40 and then put caution signs that say, you know, poor road condition ahead, does that open ourselves up for liability if somebody hits it at 40 miles an hour?
That's a great question, and I can certainly ask that, but I think we could also look with it at a staff level through the manual on uniform traffic control devices, the MUTCD. They would have some recommendations that I think with the city engineer, that if it was warranted, we would have that authority to make signage cautionary or warning signs. But again, council member, I think I would like to confer with the city attorney just to confirm that.
And then my other question, if we were going to, I guess, more of a comment, if we were going to go out for grants this year and start construction next year, 2017, maybe not spend the 15, but just for a possibility of getting a grant in 2018, that's 3 years down the road, and if the road's in bad enough shape to where there are parts that we think should be 25, I think it's worth the $15,000 to make it an appropriate speed limit. Some of those sections of road they're rough, and at 40 miles an hour, I mean, hopefully people have common sense. I fear that it's probably dead, but to not slow down at that point, you know, I know we've had no accidents now, but raising it back to 40 opens that up a possibility. So.
One other condition that's changed since the speed limit change is for the duration of the hot lane project, that is a designated bike route in King and Pierce County.
Oh, yes.
And there is no shoulder.
Councilor Roller.
I just, since the speed limit was lowered to 25, there were 2 washouts on West Valley Highway where the road was closed for a considerable amount of time. And I think we should do the study. I don't think we should raise it.
I'll make a quick comment on the capacity to do the study, both from a staff point of view as well as economically. Within the street fund, I think there is capacity to do this study within the budget. And I will say that the 6,000 to 15,000, that was a pretty broad range. The study that we're commissioned is underway for frontage road was a little over 6,500 or something like that. I don't expect this would really get up to that full 15, but somewhere around 10, 11 at the high end, I hope.
Other questions from council? Comments? Councilor Jones?
I think we should move it forward. Lance can bring additional information on Monday night for consideration, hopefully from the full council, and then we can vote on whether we agree or disagree on doing the study.
Councilor Butler?
It occurred to me that at least for the section south of 3rd, the city does have the speed study that was done for Jerry F. when he was looking at his driveway alignments and all that. So that and I don't know if we can actually use that one, but it might give us a head start on it. And don't believe that's called for a 40-mile. Do you remember what?
It's either 25 or 30, and I owe you that. I promise that to you.
I think I may still have it in my email.
And that's really the rough part, right, is south of, Third?
Well, south of Third and just north of Third, where you're coming along there, there's
Oh,
that
there,
section
that
where,
cut.
yeah, where it fishtails around and when the SUV rides, where you can go through, pick up all the fun stuff that people leave when they crash on it.
A money-making opportunity.
Accidents in SUV.
So what's council's pleasure?
Move forward.
Okay, council, I have my homework, thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Richard, Human Services Agreement for Auburn Public Health Center.